Right, so you'll be going live in just a second.
Now, it will take a couple of minutes for the feed to come through on the Facebook page, so we might get Steph just to have a look and check when it starts to come through. There's quite a time delay between our meeting on Zoom and what shows up on Facebook. So quite a time delay, several seconds. So please don't have the sound up on your face. If you're watching on Facebook, turn your sound down or off.
Does that give us a blooper delay?
Sadly, no. Naomi?
Yeah.
One other thing, can you also hit record down in your bottom menu so that the Facebook stream will be recorded, but it's worthwhile recording it on your computer as well. It'll give you the option of record on your computer or record in the cloud. Go record on your computer.
Yeah, all right, doing that. And I'll mute my mic now so you shouldn't get any feedback.
FYI, you're all live now.
Thanks.
You.
So just a reminder, participants, you'll see the note on the chat panel to the right. If you haven't got that visible, click on chat at the bottom menu. We've just given you a guideline there that keep your microphone off until you are speaking. And if you want to indicate that you wish to speak, we suggest that you just type your name into the chat panel and the chair of the meeting can work through those requests as they go. You happy with that, Sam?
That's great. And for those participants in the meeting, can you please mute your microphones now until we get to the time when it's time to speak.
We don't appear to have a chat panel on Apple.
Yep, if you're on the screen, there'll still be a mute button.
Yeah.
And there should be a view as, instead of active speaker, you should be able to view the matrix of speakers, Malcolm.
Naomi, you may want to change Malcolm's name on he's currently Neil's iPad.
Oh, okay. I can't see him on my screen.
Can you see me, Naomi?
Yep, I can see you.
I'm recording live on Facebook and I don't have a mute button that I can see.
I can mute you. I can't see Malcolm.
I can see Malcolm.
Kia ora, everybody.
Kia ora, Sophie. I can see Malcolm. Kia ora, David.
Thank
Righto, welcome along to the meeting. I'll just run through everyone that I can see, and that way you'll know whether you're here or not. So Naomi, thank you for setting this up. And I've got Nicole, Jeff, Mark, Shane, Malcolm, Murray, Deborah, David, Sophie, Grant, Bob, Therese, no video running, Stephanie, no video running, Stephen, no video running, Raymore, no video running, and Gallic J, Jenny, no video running at the moment. Those that don't have a video are welcome just to listen in to the discussion. And for the meeting participants, we've got myself and Deputy Mayor, Councillor Lyle, and Chair of Audit and Risk, Murray Lemon. So today is a little bit different than a normal council meeting. And to begin with, though, we will start with the council affirmation and the whakatauki. So let us affirm today that we as councillors will work together to serve the citizens of Selwyn District, to always use our gifts of understanding, common sense, courage, wisdom, and integrity in all our discussions, dealings, and decisions so that we may solve problems effectively. May we always recognise each other's values and opinions, be ready to listen to each other's point of view. In our dealings with each other, let us always be open to the truth of others and ready to seek agreement, slow to take offence, and always prepared to forgive. May we always work to enhance the well-being of the Selwyn District and its communities. We will.
We will.
And the whakatauki, whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, mia mākina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai, e hi akia nā te atakura, he hiu, he huka, he hohu, ti hei mauri ora. I'd like to welcome anyone that's watching this feed today on Facebook. It's streaming through the Council's Facebook page. As I said earlier, this is a executive meeting of Council. It's a shorter meeting. The only items on the agenda today is an update from myself and the CEO, David Ward, around COVID-19 matters. The three of us appointed to this committee are voting members, but every other councillor is welcome to take part in any discussion that needs to take place today. I'll just start with any apologies that we have. There are a number of councillors that haven't been able to join us today, and Sophie is going to leave us possibly early, so if that could be noted, although no one is really a formal apology because it's only the three of us that are part of this meeting. Any conflicts of interest that haven't already previously been identified, Malcolm or Murray?
No.
Great.
No.
Thank you. So welcome to the first Executive Council meeting. This meeting was set up when the legislation didn't allow councils to meet remotely. The three members, as I said, are myself, the Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Murray Lemon. Matters of voting are only for the three of us, but we'll take into account any discussion into account if we were to make any decisions, but we'll only be receiving the reports today. This is a very uncertain time for our district and also for our council. The most disruption the government and government intervention that we've ever had in New Zealand lives for anyone since really World War II. And for most of us, that's ever in our lives. Each individual and family bubble in Selwyn is going through their own struggles and finding their own solutions. Big kudos to our essential workers who are turning up each day at our supermarkets, our GPs, pharmacies, our fuel stations and other places of work, including our emergency services, our farms and the supply chain that keep Canterbury producing food. I encourage us to all be kind to shopkeepers and staff in stores because we really need them. As we've heard from our Prime Minister, things are likely to get worse before they improve, and that's going to be a test for us all. As hard as this time is, there's going to be positives that come out of it. Not everything in our previous life of only 2 weeks ago was healthy, and there's an opportunity now to let some of that stuff go. However, I don't want to downplay the current difficulties and uncertainty of job security that many people are facing. I particularly feel for those that have lost loved ones over the past week and have not been able to hold funerals or burials in the usual way they would have. Life milestones and recognition now look very different, if only electronic. Council's emergency and response teams have been very active through the crisis. The community connectedness we are fortunate to have in Selwyn is due in part to the unfortunate emergencies and earthquakes and fires and floods that we've recently been through. However, those events have given us Selwyn Gets Ready. The website, if you haven't joined already, selwyn.getsready.net. You can jump online straight after this meeting, selwyn.getsready.net, which is a great tool to be able to care for one another in a neighbour to neighbour way. Thanks to all the area and street coordinators involved in Gets Ready. And if you haven't connected, as I said, please do that after the meeting today. Limited council services, including water, wastewater, rubbish and recycling, as well as customer services by phone and online are operating. You can call 0800 Selwyn, that's 0800 735 996, and our community services staff our customer services are still there to answer those phones. Staff COVID response group, which has been set up and is working very well. That's our staff. This is a marathon, we've got to remember, and not a sprint. And this group has two teams doing 7-day rotations to ensure continuity. David will elaborate a bit more on that during his report. As I said earlier, the government has updated legislation to allow councils to meet electronically rather than in person. And this means that our next meeting next week will be a full council meeting and we'll meet at the usual time of 1 PM. And that should be in councillors' diaries currently. We will continue to have weekly meetings for the foreseeable future, all streamed online so the public can view on Facebook as they can today. I've met online with the mayors of Canterbury and the CEOs of Canterbury too over the last few days. There's a number of things that we're working through together, including identifying shovel-ready projects for government support and funding. And we're trying to take a Canterbury approach to this so that we can speed up any approval that the government might need. We're also looking to identify skill shortages and worker availability to align people with the jobs that are available. And longer term, we want to make sure that we work with international education and tourism operators. Both are significant contributors to GDP and the vibrancy we experience here in Canterbury. An area of interest for the community and for future discussion by our council is what level of rates are required for next year and the years ahead. At our last meeting, we adopted our draft annual plan with acknowledgement that many things are going to change. We're not going to discuss this in detail today. However, we will have a paper on the agenda for next week when we'll have preliminary financial data available. We must find a balance between playing our part in keeping the economy and employment going through the planned projects and spending that we already had alongside extra government support, as well as understanding the landscape has changed. Affordability continues to matter and some projects may no longer be necessary. An artificial lowering of rates, though, would mean that we just have to catch up in years to come, which I don't think is a responsible way to fund the council. Rates is not council's only income source, though, and we have to expect that fees and charges would be down, investment returns would be lower, and we would also have to rely more heavily on borrowing. Our contribution to keeping the Selwyn economy active must not be underestimated. We must also look to how households and businesses can pay their rates, lowering penalties for late payment and perhaps creating a payment deferral scheme where the next year of rates could be paid over, say, 2 or 3 years to help people and businesses through. As I said, we can discuss this more next week and also following feedback to the reorganised consultation for the annual plan over the next month. Things are changing very quickly and we need to remain fluid, but we do have to land this prior to the end of June. And just this morning, I received a possible draft letter with sort of an updated draft to go out with our consultation, which includes things that I had written with David last week to go in the draft annual plan, plus with new information that has come to light really over the last 7 days, which I'll just read to you now. It says, Kia ora koutou Selwyn. So this would go out on any electronic way of people contributing to our annual plan. Thanks for taking the time to read this consultation document for our draft annual plan 2020-2021, which sets out the council's key proposals for the coming year. This plan was put together over the past 6 months or more, well before the huge impact of COVID-19 on the community became evident. As a council, we acknowledge that the world is changing dramatically and we are living in heightened uncertainty. The impacts of the pandemic on the economy and our community are likely to bring significant changes to the final plan to be adopted by council. Many of these projects and services proposed in this document will now prove to be unnecessary and some proposals will now not progress. At the same time, other projects that were not a priority may now become a focus over the next 12 months. In these changing circumstances, it's important that we continue to hear from you. We invite new ideas and new thinking. The consultation process gives you the opportunity to tell us what you like in the annual plan, things you suggest we might do differently, and where our priorities might now need to change, especially in these challenging times. Key proposals that we had identified for consultation include deferring the Prebbleton Community Centre project to allow a more detailed consideration in the long-term plan, which is 2021 through 2031, reviewing wider community needs for community facilities in Leaston, establishing council investment and developer partnerships for the Rolleston Town Centre retail development, increasing water supply charges to provide for quality improvements and demand management, planning and building a new wastewater system for Central Darfield and new developments, as well as changes to our development contributions policy. We anticipated keeping rates consistent with what we proposed and agreed with the community in our long-term plan 2018 through 2028. Overall, the average rates increase across the district this year is or was proposed to be around 3.5%. However, in the current situation, the factors behind proposing rate level changes continue to evolve. And these include our facilities being closed, means there's lower levels of revenue and lower operational costs. Projects being delayed means there are lower debt costs than originally forecast. Work must continue with water and wastewater renewals, as well as many other essential infrastructure investments. Overhead costs will remain, although as projects change, the staff associated with those projects will also be reviewed. Public consultation has been forced to change given the level 4 alert, with information and consultation now predominantly being undertaken online. We do not yet know how we will assess submissions or in what form hearings are going to take. The council must adopt a plan though before the end of June. We look forward to your feedback and submissions to the plan. Check the links on this page for more detailed information, copies of supporting documents and details on how you can provide feedback. Sam, Mayor Selwyn. So that's the proposal to send out with the consultation document, which is due to go out soon. I guess too, we need to think about the, while that annual plan is rates for the next 10 years, the next year, we need to be thinking about the next 10 years as well. And our long-term plan, thinking and planning that's over the next 12 months will help give more certainty to where we're going over the next 10 years. And also things will continue to change and evolve over the next 12 months. And that means we don't need to make decisions now for 10 years time. We do need to make decisions now for the next 12 months, and we will look to do that. Our council, though, will continue to function. We're going to keep going through this. There's a lot of things that have to continue and must continue. We're going to keep our community's needs at the forefront of our thinking. I just encourage everyone to keep a safe social distance, to stay local, and we're going to get through this together. If there's any questions on my report, I'm happy to take them now before we would move and second the receiving of that report. Murray or Malcolm, first of all, is there any comments you'd like to make or any questions you have?
Yes, Sam, good report. I think the letter is excellent and it surmises some of the discussions we've been having with the information we have to date. And I'm happy to move that report.
Thanks, Malcolm. Murray?
Yeah, Sam, concur with those comments. A well-written, well-worded letter, and I'm happy to second that. A lot of discussions going forward in its early days, but that encapsulates where we are at present.
Great. Thank you. All those in favour say aye.
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 Carried. David, we'll hand over to you for Chief Executive's report.
Sam, thank you, and good morning, everybody. A lot of what I was going to say, Sam's actually addressed in his report. So what I'll do is just pick out a couple of points that I'm going to add to. I just want to start with council meeting next Wednesday. A couple of you have asked me how the compilation of the agenda is going. So that's just under normal practice. A number of papers that we would normally have had on the agenda have already been received, and the agenda will be circulated to you all tomorrow as per normal. There will be escalating issues, though, that we'll be dealing with that Sam has referred to, particularly with regard to the consultation document, its contents, and the method by which we consult as well. I want to talk about the operational stuff, and I'm telling you a lot of stuff that you already know, but this is for the public record. So internally, we have two pandemic response groups in operation. They operate from Monday 9 o'clock for a 7-day period. So the group at the moment is headed by Douglas and includes Greg and Denise as well, and Murray Washington. They meet formally twice a day and pick up on current issues and response that we need to give to those. Very, very fortunate with our business continuity plan. So having that in place has enabled us basically to sit down, open up the plan and move through the processes. Also acknowledge that we have a number of very experienced staff. You know, this is not the first disaster that most of our staff have actually dealt with, and the response has been amazing. The contact with council is still the same. So any of your constituents who are looking, how do I get in touch with council to discuss whatever it may be, the answer is the same. Through the quirkiness of IT, we now have our customer services staff fielding calls in their own homes. So that may be telephone calls, snap, send, solve, or emails. Reports yesterday afternoon were that volumes were low and there were no real issues of significance outside of what we would call business as usual. A lot of the main comments, interestingly enough, about our refuse collection at the moment. Our civil defence team has been mobilised, and you'll be aware yesterday the state of emergency was extended for an extra 7 days, and we would actually welcome that. The main change in the past 24 hours has been the establishment of a national 0800 hotline. The Healthline number was just getting inundated with calls, everything from emergency services through to accommodation. And so that's now been separated out in a more localised area, and that will be manned from 7 AM through to 7 PM. We still have a number of Freedom campers in 3 spots across our district. We are monitoring and liaising with those people on a very regular basis. The rangers have been on the road constantly, and we also have 35 response teams under Sue Jenkins' management, operating around the district and just dealing with local residents' needs. Also keeping in touch with food banks just to make sure that their needs are being met and any issues that they may have. And from an operational perspective, one of the things that I'm most proud of at the moment, our library staff are reaching out to a known 1,500 plus library members who are over the age of 70, just to check on their welfare, secondly to remind them of the resources that we have within the libraries and also any needs that we're able to satisfy for them. Health and safety, constant checks with our staff, with our volunteers and with our contractors, and no issues to report. We receive daily operational reports from our contractors, which are in depth, and there are no issues of concern with respect to either a contractor's ability to operate or B, the services that we continue to provide. Essential services, you have access to and will have read the list of essential services. Like everything else, this is subject to fluidity in terms of what we will and are able to continue to provide, or more importantly, that we're expected to continue to provide. Certification of our workers. So we know that there is going to be escalating clampdowns on people travelling around the district. So we made sure that all of our essential workers are actually in possession of certificates. And the final thing I was going to talk about was our facilities inspection. So we are regularly monitoring those facilities that are closed down, particularly things like the aquatic centre, where we need to keep checking water quality and all the equipment in there. We did have a fire call out at the Lincoln Library 2 days ago, but that was dealt with pretty swiftly. So happy to answer any questions on any of those aspects. Behind the scenes, we're doing a lot of work ahead of next Wednesday's meeting, just in terms of some of the options and the financial implications, and concur with the message in Sam's letter. Sam.
Great, thank you, David. There's been a couple of questions emailed through around water supply and chlorination and things, and I'll get our staff to respond to those, and David maybe provide an update directly to councillors or to the council meeting next week. Particularly, there's comments on the Kiwi community Facebook page around chlorination and the ongoing nature of that, and I'm sure that also affects other communities too. So just some clarity on how we're treating water supplies at this time, obviously taking a lowest risk approach, not wanting staff to have to travel unnecessarily to events. Are there any questions from councillors to anything that was in David or my report? Firstly, Councillor Lyle and Councillor Lemon, and then any other councillors.
Yes, David. The Freedom Campers, I believe the numbers are dropping. I did notice that the Wellington Council have managed to move a lot of them into holiday parks where they get better access to hot showers, sanitation, and possibly better separation. Have we given any thought to trying to do that with the remnants of what we have left over?
Yeah, we have, Malcolm, and that's one of the suggestions that we've been constantly making to Freedom Campers, that they do relocate. So, excuse me, in the district at the moment is 140 in round numbers. 2/3 are foreign nationals, 1/3 are Kiwis who aren't able to relocate home. And as I understand it, a fair portion of the foreign nationals are Germans. And I think there is some suggestion that they're looking to provide flights home for them, albeit that's at the national level, not at the local level. The Canterbury A&P Showgrounds has been set up with camper vans, and under the 0508 number, Freedom Campers are being directed there as much as are possibly able to do.
Thank you, David.
And Malcolm, just to add to that around the treatment of Freedom Campers, Al Lawn, our local controller, was talking yesterday just about our attitude towards this, and I really appreciated his view, which was if these were our sons and daughters or brothers and sisters that were stuck somewhere overseas at this time, how would we want them to be treated? And so we do really want to make sure that we're looking after the visitors that are in Selwyn at the moment.
Exactly. Kindness is what we need to put forward.
That's right. Councillor Lemon, do you have anything?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Yeah, agree. Kindness is important in these times. David, it's not so much a question, perhaps just a comment. As you know, a number of people have raised how we contact council, and perhaps if you just want to elucidate on how that continues. Obviously, face-to-face is not the normal method, but if you just like, for the benefit of those out there, how council can still be contacted for essential services.
Yeah, sure. So as I just said a couple of minutes ago, Murray, so as far as customer services is concerned, we are open for business as usual. So if you have a query on a council service or you require further information on processes at the moment, call the normal council number that will be answered either A, by council staff, or B, outside office hours by our after hours people. Similarly with email requests, they will be dealt with by our customer services staff at point of receipt and snap, send and solve. So we are open for business 24/7, as we always have been.
Yeah, apologies, David, if I missed you saying that. You'll sound muted here for a while, so yeah, apologies.
Cheers, Murray. I think the other thing, just if I can add to those comments, any particular issues that councillors are receiving, ones that are a wee bit more frequent than usual, make sure that they escalate that through to myself and also the pandemic response team, so that we can get a handle on those. As I said, we are in constant communication with our contractors, assessing their ability to perform their duties as well.
Thank you. Any other councillors have questions or things that they'd like raised? Deborah, you were waving before, was it?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, that was, I was trying to actually tell someone not to come into the room while I was actually working, so
Thank you.
that's fine.
Okay, there have been no further questions. Mover and seconder for the Chief Executive's report, Murray and Malcolm. Happy to move and second.
Yes. I'll move.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Me, aye.
Aye.
Declare it carried. I will now move into a resolution to exclude the public and a PX report from the Mayor and CEO. So Murray and Malcolm, happy to move that we move into PX. Thanks,
Second
Murray.
that.
Seconded, Malcolm. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Declare it carried. And we will stop the streaming. If you've joined us on Facebook, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be meeting again next week, Wednesday at 1 p.m. with the full council meeting. The agenda will be posted online, and you're welcome to listen in and join us then.